Right, this video is going to be looking at the balance of payments. So the BoP, the balance of payments. And the word that I want to stress first of all is that word balance. If something's balancing, it means that it's equaling something else. Okay, so if I was to balance my accounts, what it basically means is that the money coming into my account is equal to the money going out of an account. So when we look at an economy, we must have a balance on the balance of payments. Okay, so think about the British economy. It's got a huge trade deficit with the rest of the world. That is on our current account. Well, when you think about what that means, when we import goods and services, we have to earn the foreign currency to buy these things. So to pay for inputs, we need foreign currency. The only way of getting that foreign currency is to first of all to be selling British goods across the world. Okay, so in effect we pay our way in the world by generating foreign currency to pay for the things we want to buy from other countries across the world. And because the UK has got a huge deficit on the current account, if that was the full story, Britain would run out of money to pay for its imports. But Britain, luckily for us, can pay its way in the world through a huge capital account surplus. Okay, so Britain overall deficit on the current account made up by a surplus on the capital account. What I would say though is that we now call this the capital and financial account. Okay, so we've got the current account and we've got the capital and financial account. Now let's start off by looking at what the current account is made up of. Now the current account is made up of 4 different components. We've got trading goods, so that's your tangible or visible earnings if you like. We have services, we have investment incomes, and we've got transfers. Okay, now let's think about what these different things mean then first of all. Now, what I would say is that when you look at goods, to work out the UK's position on the current account with goods, what we do, we start off by looking at what we export to the rest of the world, the exports, so the money coming into Britain from selling our exports. We then take away the imports coming in. Okay, so it's the exports of goods minus the imports of goods. Services, it's exactly the same. We look at the invisible earnings or the intangible services that the UK sells to the rest of the world. This could range from financial services all the way to things like tourism. And then we minus again the UK's imports of services from the rest of the world. Now investment incomes, I'm going to put down, it's basically what comes in minus what goes out. Now a simple way of thinking about investment incomes, imagine that Britain, it's offered loans to different people in different parts of the world, or it's made investments across the world. Well, we make these investments across the world to generate some kind of income. So if someone in Britain, I don't know, owns a holiday home in France, the income will flow in from renting that property out to non-British tourists, for example. If someone's built up a portfolio of shares in firms from across the world, they'll return the dividends, the incomes will flow back into that country. Could even be the British government might have lent some money out to people across the world, and the incomes flowing in will flow back into the UK. So we tend to assume what we're looking at here is the monies that people make on things like shares or interest on loans that we've lent out to different countries across the world. But of course, we'd also got to factor in what goes out again at the end of the day as well. So there'll be people across the world which will have lent money to people in Britain, so they're going to expect some return on that investment. Or if people have got shares in British companies, the dividends that flow out will be a minus on the UK's current account. Now for transfers, it's the same thing. It's in versus out. Okay, so what we're looking at here really for what comes in, we're looking at gifts from residents of people from different countries across the world. It could be donations, it could be charities, or it could be overseas aid. Okay, so say for example, we've got someone in Britain who's got a family in America. If those Americans send some kind of gift to people in Britain, it will be a transfer in of foreign money into the UK economy. If the British government, for whatever reason, received a grant from the European Union to help a vulnerable area in the UK, it will be a transfer in to our economy. For Britain, we mainly focus on transfers out. Okay, so you have lots of migrant workers or foreign workers in Britain who often send remittances back to people in their own economy. It could be someone of Bangladeshi descent that sends money back to his family in Bangladesh. It could even be the British government sending out aid overseas to help with flood victims in a country, or a country hit by war or devastation, natural disasters, for example. But for the UK economy, what we have an overall deficit when it comes to the current account. Okay, so let's now think about how Britain pays for its way in the world. If more money's coming out than what's going in, the money's got to come from somewhere. And for Britain, it comes upon the capital and financial accounts. Now, the capital account is very, very small. Okay, the capital account is basically people from across the world that might come to Britain and change their nationality to British. Their assets will flood into the UK and become British assets, if you like. But of course, we've got to think about what goes out when British residents move overseas and they take up foreign nationality. Their assets will become the assets of another economy across the world, in effect. The UK does have a surplus on the capital account, and that's kind of because we have a lot of people that move into Britain every year when they become British nationals, and basically their assets will transfer to the ownership of the British economy. Now, the financial account, this one is much, much bigger than the capital account. What we tend to focus on when it comes to the financial account will be foreign direct investment. Okay, it could even be portfolio investment. We might look at what we call hot money. And we also factor in government borrowing. And then one final thing will be official reserves. Now again, what we would do in these different areas, we look at what comes in against what goes out. So for the UK, more comes in than what goes out, which means overall on the capital and financial accounts, the UK runs a surplus. And it's this surplus which helps us pay for our current account deficit. The money coming in on the capital and financial accounts, roughly or thereabouts, will cover what goes out on the current account. Now, what I would say is that these two very rarely match up. There's going to be some kind of error, and we call this errors and omissions. Okay, now this is basically a figure we use to account for mistakes that might have been made, or it could be time lags where the money is due to come in but hasn't come yet, or money's due to go out but hasn't left the economy yet. So let's go through these different aspects of the financial account. Now, all foreign direct investment is, it's where foreign governments or foreign multinational corporations, they basically buy bits of the UK economy. So it could be building a manufacturing plant, taking over a current manufacturing plant, for example. So it's basically investment into our economy, normally into things like infrastructure, so big projects. And of course what we would do, we would factor in what comes in from the rest of the world against what goes out. So a really good example at the moment is you've got the French and the Chinese that will be looking to build a nuclear power station in the UK. That will be foreign direct investment coming in to the British economy. Now, more portfolio investments is we're looking at sales of shares and bonds. So if it's money coming in, it's basically foreigners buying shares in British companies, buying bonds in the UK government, for example. So it's an inflow of money from the rest of the world. Normally the British companies tends to be the main factor we're looking at here. Again, what you would do, you would look at what comes in against what goes out. Now, one thing I would say though is that if you have more FDI and portfolio investment, it's great for the financial accounts and it could be good for the economy. But one thing to be aware of what it will do, it will mean that more money will flow out on investment incomes on the current account. It can actually make your trade deficit bigger, basically, what I'm trying to say on the current account. Hot money. This one's a bit more nasty. This is short-term movements of money in or out of an economy. Okay, so a good example here is you have people across the world that will move money around the world at quick notice, and they're looking for quick returns. So say, for example, they think the British pound is set to increase in value, hot money would flood into the UK as people look to take advantage of that predicted appreciation of the currency. If people thought the currency was going to get weaker, then people would move hot money out of Britain to ensure they don't get caught out by the depreciation of the currency. It's the same with interest rates as well. If people think across the world that the UK, well, the Bank of England are going to raise interest rates, then you will see hot money flooding into the economy. If they think interest rates will fall, then hot money would flood out of the economy. Now, on top of that, we have government borrowing. People across the world will lend money to the British government. This could be foreign governments, foreign banks, financial institutions, pension schemes from across the world. And again, be careful. If we borrow lots, if our government borrows lots from across the world, then again, more would flood out on incomes on the current account. Now, the last one, official reserves. All we're looking at here is the buying and selling of foreign currencies. Okay, so it's basically looking at where the money ends up again. So overall, for the UK economy, you have the current account and you have the capital and financial accounts. Ours balances through a huge surplus on the capital and financial accounts. That is how we pay for our way in the world and tackle our growing and large current account deficit.